Amber Alert. In this case, I mean, Amber Alerts are extremely important to our what we do. In this case, there were a lot of things that happened at the very beginning of the investigation. As the captain spoke of, Jonathan was taken December 24th, and he was killed soon thereafter, dumped the same day. I don't have an explanation for the Amber Alert, but certainly it's something that's probably going to be looked at.
Are you surprised that it took so long for somebody to notice his body there?
Yeah, doing what I do, I try not to be surprised anymore, but unfortunately, his body did lay there in the ditch, and yeah, it did take some time to report it. I don't have an explanation for that, but yeah, I was shocked by that.
Can you tell us more about her occupation, what that is, and her background, anything more than you were saying about being her role?
She is a person who works with her hands, a maintenance worker who's employed by a person that owns a bunch of residences, a collection of real estate. She does handiwork for him in the form of a maintenance worker. She works with tools, torches, and other equipment. There's certainly predators hit when they hit, and there's no doubt anybody that is going to abduct a child is a predator. She decided when the time was right, and she swooped down and took him when she felt it was right, and apparently she saw the opportune moment.
Do you think this was a true crime of opportunity where she stumbled on him alone, or do you think this is something that
I believe so. I believe that she is methodical enough to know exactly what she was doing. She waited for the opportunity to present itself, and I believe she went in and decided that's the time to take him for her own greed, her own desire.
You don't know, you can't say what the desire was.
I can't say for a fact, no.
She didn't make any attempt to cover up the evidence.
She did. But I'm not going to go through every bit of evidence that we collected. There was an incredible amount of evidence out at the scene at her residence, but I'm not going to catalog every bit of evidence here for the court, or for in the case, but it will be for the court. And she did make attempts to cover up the evidence, yes.
And more and more often we're seeing surveillance cameras come through helping us all out.
Yeah, as eventually you'll see when it does come to court, the videotape of her provided by the company that the road splits between provides the incredible videotape evidence that we used. That was incredible. But for that videotape evidence, I don't know what would have happened.
Does it clearly show her getting out of the bus?
Clearly.
Was that video shown?
I'm not going to get into all that because certainly that'll play a part later on down the road.
But she said it was a truck, so did you tell us that that's a confession?
I'm sorry?
Is that not a confession in the videotape or is that close? I mean, she's saying that was her truck and she was there and the video shows that.
Clearly.
What is she saying?
She's made several statements, implicated others as well as herself in this. By others, I mean she just decided that was a good opportunity to say, here, these other people were involved. And when a person says that to somebody with the job that I have to do, we have to check that out. And that's exactly what we did. Unfortunately, we entered into these other people's lives and checked out their lives and every second of the day that they spent on December 24th, and it turns out there was nothing there.
There's a possibility we could go through this life and never understand.
I hope that's not true, because it'll answer a lot of my questions as well.
This is, she's 44 years old. I realize this is entirely speculative. How often does somebody who's 44 years old, who's got some real issues, kill a child? What I'm getting at is, do you think she may have done this before? Just not common?
I believe so. If you think of all the reasons why a person's going to take a child from a residence, just because the opportunity presents itself, your mind can run wild. Do I believe she's done it before? Yeah, I do. I don't believe she began and ended with the abduction of Jonathan Foster. I don't. For the sake of the family, I'm certainly not going to go into the description of it. There's been enough of that in the media. The description of Jonathan's body at the scene, it was incredibly horrible. But there was twine found at the scene, and we do have similar evidence from her residence indicating that that twine was at her residence as well. crime, they tend to lie to you a lot. And that's exactly what she did. We certainly would like to know, but I believe without anything else to believe in, I do believe that she probably went back to her residence.
Since she's soulless, can you tell us why you say that?
I'm sorry, say it again?
You said that she was soulless initially. I mean, what gave you the impression that she's this cold person? Why do you say that?
When talking to her, when talking to anybody, when talking to people that do the things that I investigate, typically at some point you come to an understanding. They want to show that they actually cared about what they did. She never showed that. There's very few people I've ever interviewed that didn't show that. She's one of them.
Just a few more questions. That my previous question. Are there cases then in Houston and outlying areas that you know are going to be looking at this?
Certainly.
Anything that is there one or two cases that come to mind that you wondered about for a while?
Nothing comes to mind, but what we're doing is we're looking right now to find other cases, to find other victims if they do exist, and I hope we don't find any.
By the victims, you mean missing children?
Of course.
So during this process,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
she never said sorry or backtracked on any of this.
It wasn't just what she said, it was what her eyes showed.
She was trying to say that through her.
I'm sorry. She absolutely showed no remorse, as I said. It was, there's only been one or two other people I've ever talked to that had eyes like she did, and it was pretty cold.
Sorry for the asking, but it's hard for us to understand. How can we help you as the public now? Is there anything the public can do to help you understand?
Well, certainly if there's anybody out there, any other victims out there, we'd like to know about them. Anybody with contact with Mona Nelson, and anybody that feels they have valuable information, certainly they can call me.
Two more questions, please.
And medical conditions?
I'm sorry?
Do you have any medical conditions or, I mean, she wasn't...
Mona Nelson? Any medical conditions?
Like, you know,
I don't know that. I mean, I don't know of any medical conditions. She didn't have any medical conditions.
Oh. I'm not sure if it just cut off. I may have lost the signal.